you for coming out to participate in the government the way the founding fathers wanted us to do. I really appreciate everybody coming. I think Walt and you all are going to start it off, aren't you?
We are. Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. My name's Walt Bicklaw. I have the privilege of serving as your elected district attorney here in Marion County. I want to welcome you to our county, to Salem, and Senator Wyden's 2015 Marion County Town Hall. I'm sure you can hear me without this, but I'll use it anyway. Before we start, I would like you to stand and be an honor of all the Girl Scout Troop 10048 present the colors and lead us in the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guards fall out. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's give the Scouts a round of applause.
Thank you very much, ladies. Before I introduce Senator Wyden, Nancy McMorris Addicks, Vice Chair of the Salem Kaiser School Board. She's going to be moderating today's town hall. We'll go over the format for asking our questions today.
Thanks, Walt. First, I would like to also welcome the Senator to Marion County and to thank him for his commitment to education. In 2013, I introduced Senator Wyden at a town hall at South Salem High School and was really impressed at the exchange between the students and Senator Wyden. So today's process is the following. Everyone who wants to ask a question should have received a ticket. If you did not receive a ticket, then you should go to the back and get a ticket. There's somebody that
Somebody will bring one to you.
raise your hand and somebody will bring one to you. I will call out two numbers, the person to ask a question and the person who will ask next. So when your number is called, please raise your hand and stand up so a staff person can bring a microphone to you. They will then check your number and you can ask your question. When the senators finish answering, I'll call the next two numbers. In the interest of time, please keep your questions concise. Ask questions, don't give speeches, please. so the senator has the opportunity to engage with as many people as possible.
Thank you, Nancy. Senator, thank you for being here. Ron Wyden was first elected to Congress in 1980 to represent Oregon's 3rd congressional district. In 1996, he was elected to the U.S. Senate in a special election, becoming the first U.S. Senator to be elected in a vote-by-mail election. He was sworn in on February 5th, 1996, to the seat once held by his mentor, United States Senator Wayne Morris. When he was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1996, Senator Wyden promised to do a town hall in every county every year. Now, I've been attending these town halls quite some time now. And I wanted to share a couple of observations as I introduce your senator. Senator Wyden has demonstrated an extraordinary command of the issues and provided truly needed leadership when we needed it most. As our senator for a generation, he has always been open to dialogue on the toughest of issues that face our communities and face our nation. Through that leadership, he's been tenacious. It's the best way to describe it. And from a public safety standpoint, although we're going to cover many issues today, I'm sure, he is clearly engaged in the public safety arena. And I want to highlight just a couple. First, from prevention by supporting investments in early childhood, using federal level investments through the McVie and other programs for kids, vulnerable families, to resources, recognizing that the federal commitment through timber revenue equates to the quality of local public safety infrastructure. There's a natural connection in that timber revenue. For everything south of Lynn County and some of our counties up north too, including Columbia County, which I wasn't really aware of. From holding offenders accountable who flee our borders, and his lifelong commitment, I've read about this, to seniors, which is a very dramatic, changing demographic and a changing landscape. So please join me in welcoming the Honorable Senator Ron Wyden to his 713th Town Hall.
What an inflationary introduction. Whoa, thank you, thank you, thank you. To you and Nancy, wonderful, wonderful community leaders. Let's give Walt and Nancy a big round of applause. So lucky to have them and to be able to partner with them on so many issues. How many of you have ever been to one of our town meetings? Never came to one of those 712? Okay, we got a lot of newcomers. But what happens is I start off talking for about 45 minutes or so, and really interesting. And that family thinks I'm serious. Their face got all pale. We're trying to figure out how we can get out of here. This is not what goes on at all. And in fact, my opening remarks will be shorter than the time it took for the ducks to score on Florida State. Very briefly. Here's why I do these. I made a pledge back in 1995. We were choosing our first United States Senator in 30 years. I said, if I had the honor to be chosen, I'd throw open the doors of government. And I would be in every county, every year. And you can see I'm not using a teleprompter, I'm not reading any speeches or any of this kind of stuff. Really to listen and learn from the people of Oregon, try to respond as best I can to all of your concerns. And as Walt said, there are lots of issues that are on people's mind today. We've got plenty of time to get everybody's question in. And to me, this is the way the Founding Fathers wanted it to look. On a cold, morning in the came really of their own volition. In other words, it's not like it's for Democrats or Republicans or for this group or that group. These are everybody, all the people in Marion County who want to be heard today. And so I really appreciate everybody doing this. Obviously, passions run deep around a lot of these issues, and that's why we're going to hear from all of you and get a sense of what's important to you this afternoon. So Nancy, let's go right at it and hear what folks have to say.
So the first number is 042685. Anyone have that number?
And if people don't stand up, I'm going to think you left for the game already. You got lucky and somebody gave you a ticket.
And next up is 042729.
Okay, are you concerned, I'm concerned, that the Republican Congress is going to stop or really set back any environmental protections we've been fighting for?
Ma'am, my view is that political change starts at the grassroots level and, in effect, it's bottoms up rather than trickle down. So if all of us who feel very strongly about protecting our treasures, and in Oregon, protecting our land and air and water, practically in our chromosomes, and to protect Oregon's treasures. If we're heard, if we speak out, if we make those calls and visits and emails and the like, I think we'll be able to show, look, there's not a program on the planet that you can't improve. Not one on the defense side, the environment side, healthcare, whatever. But rolling back the clock, particularly on vital protections like clean air and clean water, that's something that the people of Oregon don't want. It's something that Americans don't want. And I think if we generate enough grassroots support, we can ensure that we can find a way to improve programs, expedite the processes. You look, for example, at what I've been working on with the open sea lands, the ones essentially that Walt was talking about. We've shown we can get the harvest up in a sustainable way without, as some have sought to do, setting aside the environmental laws. I'm not going to support that because, by the way, we've tried to do that before in our state. And it's a movie that didn't end well. That's what happened with the riot on the Spotted Owl back in the 1990s. And basically everybody lost. We didn't get the jobs that we needed. We didn't protect our treasures. Basically, the only people who won were lawyers who were litigating and suing each other at the federal courthouse. So there is a way to show that we can protect our treasures, have jobs and family wages, which is so desperately needed in resources-dependent communities, without setting aside the federal environmental laws. And on my watch, I'm not going to let it happen. I didn't let it happen this time when there was an effort to do it, and I will let it happen in the future.
Thank you.
Do we see the second number?
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Wyden. My name is Sandra Gango, and I'm a grandmother. And I'm concerned about the culture of violence and greed that is growing in America today. And I'm here to ask you if you think you could be the force that will persuade Congress to take some action to improve our gun safety laws, including abolishing the loophole that exists in background safety requirements.
I strongly support ensuring that we have laws, and you mentioned one in terms of background checks, and yeah, just one, that ensure, for example, that those with a record of criminal behavior and mental health problems don't end up with guns. I don't see anywhere in the Second Amendment, and I support the Second Amendment, that says that you are supposed to be selling guns to people who can injure others in the community because they have a record of mental health problems and criminal problems. So we were a few votes away from being able to pass a common sense background check, measure. And again, much like the question, that I answered earlier, I think that we're going to see, particularly now, people in Oregon and elsewhere say, we're tired of all the partisan bickering. We're tired of all this back and forth. We need common sense measures like background checks in order to protect the public. And all of you are parents. My wife and I have 3 children, 7 and under. We just got them off the mountain in Bachelor. They're wonderful week skiing. Anybody who's a parent now thinks about what you see on the news practically every week or two about another school shooting. And so often, of course, we have these tragedies in money. Of course, as you unpack it, you very often see that a gun was sold or was in some way allowed to get in the hands of someone with a mental or criminal problem. And I don't see how making those guns available to that kind of person is consistent with the Second Amendment.
So I'm going to just read the last 3 numbers now. 715 is next. And then 684.
715. 684.
Chivalry lives.
Senator Wyden,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. My name is Leslie McMillan, and I want to say first off that there are many issues that I don't agree with you on. So that makes it more important for me to say that on the issue of the NSA, I am thoroughly grateful and thankful for your persistence over many years in trying to rein in the excesses of that agency. I really appreciate that.
We have a big challenge here that's brand new. The head of the FBI, Mr. Comey, recently said that he was interested in the government requiring the technology companies to build a backdoor into their products to make it easier for the government to get access to information in these digital goods and services. I just want the people of Oregon to know I'm going to stop that cold. That is not what the founding fathers thought liberty was supposed to be about. So go ahead, please.
The question I have is a little bit different. In light of the fact that you're willing to do something that's a little bit outside the grain of the standard way of operating, I have a question about Benghazi.
Benghazi.
This is a little different, but it's very personal.
Did you say Benghazi?
I did say Benghazi. It's not because I'm partisan about it, but because my cousin is Chris Stevens. I don't feel that we've gotten genuine answers from the administration about that. I wondered who it was that set the policy, not just the underlings that carried it out, but the policy makers who decided that there wasn't going to be more security before, during, or after the event. I'm really concerned about that. I think there's just a lot of kind of deception and deflection on that issue. And there are 4 men dead, 4 fine men who've been killed. There hasn't been nearly the concern, in my opinion, about what really happened there on the part of the administration. I'd like to know if you can tell me if you've ever found out who it was that really set the policy to say no to more security.
And I want to make sure I understand your relationship. You were related to Chris Stevens?
He's my cousin.
Clearly, there were so many errors made with respect to embassy security. I don't think you can put your finger on kind of one person who made the judgment not put in place security precautions. And that's really not just my opinion, and I'm glad to get it for you. The House, of course controlled by Republicans, had a special committee named, chaired by a former prosecutor, Trey Gowdy, from Alabama or Mississippi. I've dealt with him on a number of matters. Very good, strong conservative, interested in the facts, former prosecutor. And they really reached that judgment as well. I don't know if you're familiar, were you aware of Mr. Gowdy's work in this committee? Have you seen the report?
I haven't looked at the details.
You have or haven't?
I have not looked at the details.
I'd like to get you that report, and then perhaps we could correspond or talk some more about it, because that was really one of the central questions they sought to pin down. Was there one person, one group, one office, for example, that specifically said, you know, we really don't need to do X, Y, and Z, it's important for security? And the finding really of the Gowdy committee, I believe the finding was unanimous, bipartisan, Democrats and Republicans, was that it was not possible. Now, having said that, I will tell you, I'm on the intelligence committee, and I suspect that's part of why you asked as well. My older daughter calls it the so-called intelligence. And I can't, this matters obviously with respect to embassy security, and I can't talk about that are classified. It's critically important that embassies generally are more proactive with respect to security, and a lot of this involves a host of measures. And I'll say this publicly because been out certainly in the past, and kept up with what's on social media, which is in effect what's called open source materials. So it is horrible to see wonderful public servants. I never met him, but virtually everyone who dealt with him, a lot of his professionalism, his dedication to the job, not just in the context of that particular tragic situation, but the years of public services. There's a huge loss, and I'd like to get you the House report. The House report is only like a month, 2 months old, so it's the freshest effort to look at the underpinnings of what went on out there.